Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. And today we are actually getting into another EDC everyday carry video review of a VIPERADE VE21 pouch. Now, I did a review of two other pouches from this brand on the channel already, and I think that they were nice, but one of them was really small, and the really small one I was going to keep for myself, and the one that was a little bit bigger I was actually going to give away to a family member. I still have that one on hand right here, that I kind of little set up for. I set this little kind of little package up for my cousin. So that size I think works because I wasn't sure if he would want something that's either too big or too bulky. But for myself, I tried to have one that was tiny to fit in the pocket. And the issue became for me that it was too small. The one that I showed on the channel before, it was a little too small. And I could get away with putting it in my pocket with a few things, but at that point, it defeated the purpose of the fact that I couldn't really carry the things I wanted on it. So in this case, it wouldn't be something I would pocket, but it would be more so just maybe something I can kind of carry in the hand, toss it in the car when I go into the car. When I get out of the car, maybe carry it in my hand to another location and toss it down someplace. So it wouldn't really be a pocket thing, but it would definitely be something that I could kind of toss around, and it'll have like a nice setup of things inside it. So here you could see, let me see where the branding is. There goes the branding right there. Here you can see it's actually decent size. I believe the measurements on it from the bottom is like 3.5 inches by like about 5 inches tall. So it has more of a rounded shape. There are some pouches that are a little bit more thicker and have more of that, I'm not sure the word to kind of phrase it, but one of those kind of more bulky pouches. I don't want to call it like a molly pack. But something of that sort that's maybe a little bigger than, a little bit more thicker than this. But this, what's nice about it is if you want this style is that it feels still to be somewhat compact. I think it is pocketable to a degree, especially if you like maybe throw it in your back pocket. But then again, you wouldn't want to sit on it depending on what you have inside it. So I'm going to try to throw a few things in it just to kind of see how they fit in and what the vibe is like with this. So I have a multi-tool on hand. This is, I would go to say your average multi-tool. This particular one right here is the Rocktall Gen R. I actually really like this one. I reviewed it on the channel, then I did a re-review because the copy I got was initially something was wrong with it. But this copy, when I got a return, was actually pretty good. So this, at least within my lineup, and you might be similar, is my standard size. The reason why I say that is because between Rocktall, between Byberry, and I have a few Byberries, they all are a little bit thicker than say a Leatherman equivalent, or like say a Leatherman Wave is a little bit thinner. And though generally speaking, I used to say to myself that thinness didn't make a difference in terms of the size of these tools, but when it comes to little pouches like these smaller pouches, that small difference makes a difference. It actually makes a difference when it comes to storing inside these. Now the item that I'm gonna see about putting in there is my business card holder. And that is my photo, and on the back is my information. And normally I bought this and I stopped carrying it around with me. I used to carry it inside my inside jacket pocket. I kind of stopped carrying it around me just to kind of lighten the load. This would actually be a good fit to be able to put in the pouch. So it just gives me an extra item that I can throw in there. A couple other items that I can play around with is the next tool kit setup. With that's the bit kit, and this is the tool itself, and this is a great tool for something like this, but nonetheless I would love to be able to get something like this inside there. Let me grab my flashlight, which I used to keep on my in my car, my Molly pack, Molly pouch, or however you want to call it. And I took it off there because it's just usually sitting in there and I rarely have a need for it. So putting it in a smaller size pouch that I would probably put in my glove compartment instead of my trunk is a little better use. And then also I'm going to pull out my favorite multi-tool, is, regardless of the plier type or non-plier type, my favorite multi-tool is the Gerber arm bar. This is slim and non-slim edition. And just the reason why is because they're so small, inconvenient, but yet give you a full-size screwdriver. And though something like this would be comparable, I just like the size that the length makes those tools, though there's not as many of them, feel more useful. Other than this one's scissors. This one's scissors is just awesome. I'll give it that. This one's scissors are hands down just really nice beefy scissors. That's like kind of where this tool shines more so than anything else. And the bit driver on this is kind of similar to Leatherman. I'm not a big fan of it at all, but it's better than something that's not interchangeable. But anyway, so that's a few tools right there. I was actually going to try to put in my little black memo book, but this is bigger than the pouch itself, so that doesn't work. So if you wanted to do something like that, you would have to have one of those kind of little tiny books. But I seen someone on a different channel actually do, what they did was they just took some paper and they folded it a couple of times, and then they cut it out, and then it created like just a little kind of slip sheets that were tiny, maybe the size of like a card or something like that, and threw it in. So that might be an idea for another time that I can kind of work that in. In the meantime, right now, I'm not gonna do that. And the only other thing I'm gonna throw into the mix at the moment is maybe a pen. I can use the generic Bic pen, which is fine. In case, you know, you don't wanna, you know, for whatever reason, I have a whole box of these I bought on Amazon. There's so many of them. So it's like sometimes you could just throw them anywhere. So, and I'm not really one of those guys who's a stickler for a type of pen when it comes to just having them around. Now, granted, if I want to be dressy, sometimes I want to have a pen that's a little bit more fancier looking. Something like that is cool, or even this is my Parker Jotter stainless steel. But the problem with that, to me, something like that, is the fancier ones, which are why I probably wouldn't, not sure if I would put them in this, is because this to me feels more of like a tactical type of setup, and I wouldn't want to put a metal pin in there. Those are, to me, a little more like dressy type of pins, and that's why I have them inside their little holder, and I wouldn't want them getting scratched up. So if I took them out of their holder, they might have the chance of getting scratched up connecting with other pieces of metal. Now, sorry that I rambled on a bit. If you guys are here for this, then you guys won't mind. If you're not, then I understand you might be a little bothered. Let's see what I could do. So first I could take this, and you've got two big pouches here. Let me go over the slots first that we have here. I don't want this getting scratched up on my table, and it already is getting scratchy. So you have these major slots here, these two big slots, and I like that because some of them will have one big slot on one side and not on the other side. Granted, this one has the zip pouch on this side and nothing on this side, but it does have this where you can hold like a carabiner clip or something of that sort. You have an insert here, a bigger insert here, and a smaller one here. Excuse me. So this could be used for, like, say, like a pen. But then again, because of the size, that becomes a problem. And that's where having smaller pens, like something like the Jotter, works. But once again, you know, I don't know if I want to buy a new Jotter, one of the ones that are is half plastic. It'll have the plastic bottom right here. This piece that comes down will be plastic, and the top will be metal. And that's a little less fancy looking, and probably for $10, I could do something like that just to have for the purpose of the size. That's not an expensive pen because that was only $10 also, but I just like it. And for some reason, you know, even though it's not an expensive pen, I like it a lot, so I won't want it to get scratched up. If I had it in here, and like I said, this to me would be more of a tactical setup, not so much a dressy setup. Even though I always carry a pen on me every day anyway, but as far as that position there, this just doesn't really work that well. Now, If the zipper came from this way, you could, but it doesn't seem to be the situation here. I'm gonna adjust the camera angle a little bit, you guys, so that way you guys can see things a little bit better. So I don't know as far as like a pen goes. I carry a pen on me every day regardless, but it doesn't feel like, unless you have a smaller size pen, that's not gonna work. And that kind of sucks to me, because I'd rather, to be honest with you, it's just the vibe I have right now. I'd rather just throw like a big pen inside here as a kind of like, okay, this is just a backup, throw it in your car. Maybe you have your nice pen on you when you're dressed, you know, however, you're in your pocket, but then this is more of like a in the car backup. So one day you go out, you forget your pen, you could say, I got a backup pen in here, and don't have a nice pen just waiting in this all the time. Because obviously you probably wouldn't take this out necessarily when you're gonna go out to eat, for example, you know, when you're gonna sign the bill, you're not gonna do that. Let's see if I could get, so this would have to go into one of the bigger pockets. And that to me is a bit of a, I don't know, you work with the space that you can. But the problem with this, it's just inevitable. Just at least having a bigger pouch at least gives you room to even have it there, because the other ones couldn't even really hold it. I'll bring in the other one, like I said before. This is the VE18. This is the VE18 and VE18. And you can see right there, this big pocket on the top, which is supposed to be for like mini notepads that are very small, like I said, about the size of like maybe a card, as wide as a card or something like that. This can fit in the multi-tool. But it's because you have the outside pockets that can fit the pen, and even though it comes outwards, it's still able to fit. But the structure of this, having all these outside pouches, gives it, and that's how the design of that is, gives it a little more leeway to oversize or overflow, because you have that. It does have two types of pockets here, of the zip ones, but then this one right here, because of the multi-tool, you can't really fit anything in here. I say that and bring that into frame just for the sake of saying that though this one has bigger pockets, because the other one has the pockets on the outside for the overflow, here you're trying to contain everything inside, which makes it a little bit more challenging, because you can't have overflow because it's actually in the inside as opposed to the outside, like you just seen with the pen on that one, where I can't do that with the pen on this one. Now, putting that in this pocket here really takes up a lot of space here. Now I could still put a pen right here, but I can't really do anything else with it. So I'm not sure if I want to do that. But if I take that out and I want to put, like, say something like this in here, which is great, because a lot of times I have these tools kind of sitting around because I don't want to put them in my pocket. Because it's uncomfortable to put in my pocket, but these would be this pouch would be perfect for these kind of tools, where I could just throw them in here and take them with me, something like that. It's a little bit of an overlap to take that one and this one, but nonetheless, I'd have the room for it. Let me see, I think this would fit actually perfect right here. And then lift this little piece up so it slides down. So that's a pretty good fit right there. And what's awesome with that is I could then take this and slide that right there into the back. And that's a perfect fit and a perfect combo. Like I said, I'm more of a fan of the arm bar, but at the same time too, I picked this one up because of it's the scissors and the portability of it. And then that came out shortly afterwards. So, yeah, so there's that combo that fits in there perfectly. Then you got something like this, which is actually pretty cool too. Then you got that little loop there, and it's actually perfect for this. Sorry if you guys, let me adjust this. I want to make sure you guys can see every bit of this while I'm fiddling around with things. This right here could go right here, which is actually awesome and perfect because it fits perfectly. That is a perfect fit to go inside there. Now you got this side here. Now this would fit here. But the problem becomes two things actually. One, I could put that in here and let that go in there like that. Will it close? will it close? No, it's a bit of a tight squeeze. It might be able to close, but I'm definitely not gonna be able to fit anything else here. But what I'm realizing is this is definitely not a setup for a plier-based tool. Now, let me grab the Leatherman. I'm sorry, you guys, this video is gonna be a while, but I actually am glad you guys can see on screen what I can and can't fit in here. This is the, obviously, Leatherman. Let me take this off the clip. Now, I know I bought the clip, so you want to have a clip on there because you buy a clip, but then I almost feel that this might be better without the clip if it's in here. And see, if this closes, then it definitely tells you how, like I said, it's thinner. Yep. Like I said before, that thinness, it's a big deal when you're dealing with this size, not other bigger pouch sizes, but for this size, yes. Now, granted, I took the clip off, but that's one benefit of being able to remove the clip on that versus other types where, you know, you might normally say, I prefer the clip on this because maybe it feels a little more solid, but the fact that you can remove this one for this type of situation, you don't need a clip if you're putting it in there like that. So that is an option for me to take this, throw it in here, and leave that in there. And maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I gotta see. That's just an everyday thing, even though by doing that, I'm eliminating the use of this, which I don't know if that's something that I want to do either, is not have my clip. I don't need it, but not having the clip, I'll throw that in here for now. Do I need a plier-based tool? It does take up a lot of room. And then something like this, you can squeeze that in there. I don't know about the rest of you. I sometimes feel funny about these kind of stretchy elastic things and making them feel too stretched. I know that's their purpose, but sometimes, I don't know. I'm not one of those people who've used this kind of stuff like that, so I don't want that to end up being a thing where that happens. Another thing I thought about putting in here too, and I could take out some of the things I have inside here and I would easily be able to fit it in, would be a ace bandage. I thought about putting in there, making it a little bit of a, not just a toolkit, but a little bit of a first aid, not heavy first aid stuff, but just a little something. But I am not too sure if I want to go in that direction. Now, I didn't end up putting this there, and that's, like I said, something that I actually would enjoy to put, but can I double this up in the same spot? If that was on this side, I think I can. But you know what? I still have this on the outside, so I can always put, let's see how this fits over here, if it fits here at all. It definitely would be annoying to take that in and out if it's in there like that. So that fits there. I could then take this one, squeeze it on this side. This side has more room in terms of its depth because this is taking up more space, but also too, this has that leeway of this back pouch opening, the zipper pouch, so it gives it a little more room to, you're occupying some of this room in here by doing that, but it's able to work. Yeah, so that might be a little something that I could carry around like that. I wish I had space for a pen. I do have space for a pen, but I gotta buy a different pen for that, or I could take this pen here. Let me see how big this one is, because I won't mind taking this one with me. It's a little bit. This one's kind of cool because it has, this one, That one has less of a dressy style and a little bit more of like a tactical vibe. So I kind of don't mind putting this one in there as much. I might end up just getting me a different one though, just so this one doesn't get scratchy. I would hate for it to get scratched. And let's see this closing mechanism right here. This zipper, if we can get it to close, which this is a little bit taller than the it's a little bit taller than the Parker. And though I can get it to close, I don't like feeling like that pen is like you know, in that position like that. But as I mentioned before, I always have a pin on me anyway, so that's not necessarily something that's needed. That's just me wanting to get as much stuff as I can cram in there. So I don't know, I could run it like that. With the next tool here, I don't need to have this thing in here because this thing is cool. I have scissors on it, but this thing's scissors are really good. This is great for its screwdriver. Obviously I have the other bit options for this as well for the next tool, just to have them, but it's like a lot of doubling up. So that's the thing that's, you know, that even though I would normally want to keep that on the outside, I kind of like that on the inside just because that placement is the only thing I could really put there. Like that makes sense. So that's really cool. I wish maybe I could do this. Let's see if this could fit here. If I take that out and then squeeze this in here. This takes up so much room on this side when I do this though. That's the one negative about having a plier based tool inside this setup, is it really does take up a lot of room. If I don't put nothing over here, then this can take up that while I have that on the back. Will it close is the question, and it won't. It clearly won't. So the plier based tools honestly is just too much. With this one, I can put the Leatherman and I think I could work it out in some way. But then, like I said, at that point, and this is not really a big deal. I don't know about the rest of you guys. I'm not a, I know this video is getting long. I'm not a everyday carry tool guy type of person necessarily. So I say that to say, I really like this, for example, this Rocktall or some of my Byberries, because most of them are sub $40. Most of them are $30. This one's like $43. My Byberry of the same tool set was like $29 or $27. That's the kind of thing that I don't mind having inside here and walking around with all the time. Like I said, I'm not a big tool guy where like maybe I make money off my tools or I'm doing a bunch of heavy stuff. The idea of throwing my Wave inside there, and I bought this really just to kind of show on the channel and review it and this and that, but price wise this made me a little uncomfortable. And so with that being said, I wouldn't actually, I don't know how comfortable I feel. I know it's kind of like a you know, almost like a contradiction. You know, you want to have this pack setup of tools and stuff like that, but it's like I almost don't even feel comfortable the idea of a $120 tool inside this pouch. And it's just like, it makes it almost like where you want to have this setup that you could just kind of throw it around places and leave it around places, things of that sort. I'm not saying like you're intentionally trying to lose it, but you know, you go someplace and you know, you put it down somewhere on a table, maybe at work, or you go out someplace and you have it with you. in your hand, it's not in your pocket. You throw it down. Maybe you're gonna go out to eat and you just throw it down on the table. Like, you know, you're like, cool, whatever. Like I'm throwing it down on the table. It's something that I might use, but yet at the same time, it's not as vital as my wallet. It's not like my information's on here and I'm losing whatever. So you put it on the table. But this right here is over $100. So if something happens to it, you just lost $100. This is like having $100 bill inside here. So, and I'm not to say that all these other tools don't add up to be a significant amount. I mean, the arm bar is at least going for like about $35. You know, like I said, this tool right here was $43 for the rock tall. This right here is the flashlight is, I think it's something like $15 or $20. The next tool is $25. So it's not like the whole thing doesn't add up to maybe $100, a bit over $100, but just that this right here is equal in value to, like, say this, the next tool, the flashlight, and the pouch all together in just this one tool. It makes me feel a little uncomfortable, but that's just me. I'm sure the average guy who throws a Leatherman on him all day long doesn't really care, but they probably also are one of those people who make money off of it. They're doing a lot of handiwork or whatever the case is. And so that aspect, the requirement of the tool supersedes the value of if I lose it. Like, they use it every day. And at that point, they're like, of course I need to use it. I use it every day. So that makes me kind of feel like, do I want to throw it inside there like that? So I don't know. I would rather have something like this on me. So I got to figure out what setup I'm going to do with this. I'm not 100% sure. Like I said, I'm sorry this video got long because it really just supposed to be a review on the pack. And if that was the case, you guys could have really literally stopped the video a long time ago. But I am kind of having fun with trying to figure this out. And I want you guys to kind of see like the things that you could do in the setup with it. Once again, the theme of this is for those who like to have like a kind of EDC carry, whether it's tools or whether you want to fill this with other things. You could fill it with other things too. Don't think it has to be a tool thing. I'm just kind of going along with that. A lot of people do that, but it could just be things like maybe a flashlight, business cards. Maybe you could have a smaller pen inside here, and it could be less of a tactical setup and more of like a, you know, kind of business setup. Maybe, you know, maybe it's like a little thing that you keep with you, some notes, things like almost like a mini briefcase. Think of it like that. You know, you could view it like that and insert things in it that cater to that, and just maybe that occasional little tool on the side, and everything else there is for other things. So I'm not really too sure, but I definitely wanted to show that you guys, let you guys see kind of where my mind was at with all that. As always, you guys like, share, comment, subscribe. Definitely, if this is something that suits you guys, enter that space like we always cover on the channel, things like accessories and things of that sort. Whatever suits you. I'm not saying that this is for everybody. But if it's something that suits you, then by all means, grab it. What's nice about it too is if you are the type who likes to be a little more sophisticated, a little bit more dressy, and you don't necessarily want like a tool set in your pocket, then having something like this that you can just kind of pick up, throw it into your car, maybe grab it. If you do take it outside, you throw it in your pocket of your jacket, but it's not on your person. So that way, when you do kind of take your jacket off and you go walking around, maybe you're at a lounge, maybe you're at a dinner with someone, maybe whatever the case is, this doesn't have to be bulking up your pockets. And you're not one of those guys who got a crazy these tools on you, you know, coming on around your base, your belt and around your waist and all that other kind of stuff. You're putting it together in a location that is not going to kind of get in the way. So as always, you guys like, share, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.